A few weeks ago, I noticed a hole in this sweater. I knitted this sweater just over a year ago, and I worn it quite a lot, and I wasn't storing it very well. It was on a shelf in a cupboard in our bedroom, where I was also storing bed linen and towels, and the things got a bit mixed up. So a few weeks ago, I took everything out to sort it and tidy it up, and I noticed that this sweater had a hole in it. So today I'm going to show you how I fix it. If you're new here, my name is Anniken. I design knitting patterns. I teach knitting workshops online and in person, and I sell yarn from my website YarnAddict.co.uk. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. Let's see where this damage is. It is here, which is on the back kind of hip area, I think. So I've got some knitting needles in the size I was knitting the pattern in. I've got a crochet hook and a sewing needle, and I have my stitch pattern on my tablet. So I've got my chart on the tablet. So I think that is the right chart, looks like it. So I may or may not need that, but I thought it would be useful to have it handy. So let me just put that down somewhere. And then I have some spare yarn that I was knitting with. So let's see what we can do to fix this. It's not a massive problem. It's obviously broken the yarn. Now at the bottom here, you can look down here, you've got pearl stitch in the middle and then a yarn over at this side. So if those yarn overs are broken, it won't unravel more than that yarn over. It won't go any further down because that yarn over, that stitch starts there, if you like. But it's obviously broken this one in the middle as well, which is the pearl stitch. So that's where it's gone through. And then I have 2 live stitches up there. So I'm just going to get a stitch marker out. Stitch markers like these kind of padlock things are very useful if you drop a stitch, because they will keep 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 stitches secure. So I'm going to put them in here because I've got 2 stitches there. I'm going to put that one in there, and then I'm going to put this one in here. Right, I've never fixed a problem like this before, I don't think. And I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do it, to be quite honest. Yeah, let's see. Normally, if I find a problem with a pattern like this that I've worn a number of times, I would just think, oh, well, never mind, I'll knit a new one. But I spent a long time knitting this, and I don't want to knit a new one, and it's not a very big problem. I could potentially just try and stitch this together, because the way it is, it wouldn't be very visible. I would like to try and repair it properly, because what I'm worried about is when I wash it, it might come undone. So I'm going to undo that tail there and put that on the knitting needle. Actually, if I take that one out, I can put that one on the knitting needle. This yarn is not very slippery, so it doesn't slide down very often. There's a SSK here below that first stitch. That's the pearl stitch, and then we have one on the other side here. So this isn't a planned tutorial. This is just something I noticed that was broken. So I'm kind of doing this. It's a bit of an impromptu thing. It's basically me trying to work out how to fix it and showing you at the same time. So if this looks like I've no idea what I'm doing, then that is why. So I don't have a loose stitch here. That seems fairly secure, but obviously that's not a long enough end to weave in. So I'm not quite sure what to do about that one. I might see if I can unpick it. I would like if these ends on either side, if they could be long enough so I could weave them in to secure them. Right, so that is that stitch, which is on the same row as these 2 stitches. I'm going to put that one through. I think it's quite useful for this to either have a double pointed needle or a circular needle, because you can use both ends of it without moving your stitches over. I don't know where my double pointed needles are because I never use them anymore. I only use circular needles. So I thought I'd just get a circular needle. One with a slightly shorter cable might have been useful, but this one was already put together, so I've just used that. So I don't know, this isn't very long to like weave in, so I'm going to undo that one, which gives me 2 stitches there. Then let me just get this one and put these 2 stitches here on hold here. So this is knitted from the bottom up, so it's knitted in that direction. That is also useful to know because you want to make sure you are repairing it in the same direction. And then I'd really like, let's take it out here as well. And then we have a stitch here to catch. I pull that on with the rest of them. So that is a little bit longer now, so I might be able to weave that in. It doesn't look very long, but it might be okay. That one is a little bit short, but it might be okay. I'm not sure. So on this stitch pattern, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. So I got 5. This is a 10-row stitch pattern. I got 5 rows of eyelets. So I just got to make sure I keep that same. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That row underneath here, that repeat is secure. It's this repeat here, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've only lost the first row of eyelets really. So let's see what we can do to fix this. So let me get some new yarn. So my plan is to try and knit this row and the next row. So like row 1 and 2, I think it will be, and then graft it to these stitches I have at the top here. I'm glad this is where it is because it's not very visible. It's on the back on my hip, I think. So it's not like it's center front. So if it's not like perfectly fixed, I'll be fine. Okay, so that is my new yarn. I'm going to leave myself a little bit of a longer tail. And my stitch pattern is knit 2. No, hang on. It's I've already done. Right, so that is a knit stitch. That was a knit 2 to get on the previous row 1. So it's actually row 2 I need to fix. That is a yarn over. So the yarn over is on row 1. I'm on row 2 now. So I'm going to just pick up that strand, goes between the 2 stitches on row 1 and knit that so it looks like a yarn over from the previous row. Then I'm going to purl that one, and then I'm going to pick that one up and knit it because that's another yarn over and that's an SSK. So we're just going to knit that. I think that's kind of all I need to do. So I have 2, 4, 6 stitches there. If you can hear a bee buzzing around, I got a big bumblebee buzzing around this room and I've tried to chase it out but failed. So I've just left him. I'm using my microphone, so hopefully sound is a bit better. But if you can hear like a buzzing sound in the background, it is because I got this bumblebee buzzing around. At the moment it is just above me, but my back door is open, which means they're just going to keep coming in. My husband said he's been chasing bumblebees and bees out all day today. Okay, I'm going to put that one on. Basically these 4 stitches I have at the top here, these are a little bit more difficult to get. So what happens when you knit is you have your stitches, so you have one loop for the stitch, and then at the top basically you have the loop that go between the stitches. So you have a row of stitches. When you unravel it in the direction you knitted, you will have those stitches, live stitches. But above that, if you cut your yarn, for example, the stitches that looks like stitches are actually the loops that go between your stitches. They're not. So it's a little bit tricky, and I don't know if that makes sense. But the thing is, when you make mistakes, you notice these things and you learn these things. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that gives me 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm wondering if I graph those together, whether that'll work. So let's turn it around. I actually thought there were like several rows that had broken. Oh, I left that a little bit short, didn't I? Never mind. Now, I must admit, I don't think I've ever grafted a reverse stocking stitch, and I do have that purl stitch in the middle. And I could probably Google how to graft reverse stocking stitch, but I'm not going to. So I'm just going to graft them all as knit stitches. So I have 2, 4, 6. I only have 4 at the top here. Okay, that's a bit of a problem. Because I need 6. Okay, I think what I'm going to do, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to graft that first stitch on the bottom, the first 2 into one stitch here. Let's have a look. So those 4 stitches, yarn over. Okay, so I'm missing. I could really do with 2 more stitches over here. So that is one that goes into the purl stitch. That one there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 3 one side of the purl stitch and 2 the other side. Okay, I'm not sure how this is going to work. I think I'm going to actually graft them from the other end. So I'm going to slip this across here. And then divide them up like that. So that I have, and basically I've just switched the location. If you have double point needles, you could just push them to the other end of the needle. That means that the stitches I had on the bottom are now here, the ones that I knitted. No, it's not. Those are the ones I had on the top. Yeah, these are the ones I knitted. They're on the top now. So I'm going to try. I'm just going to have a go at this and see how it works out. So let's just attach our knitting needle. I wish I'd left this tail a little bit longer. That was a bit stupid of me. I could undo it and knit it again, but I can't be bothered. So let's just leave it like that. Okay, so just going to go through that last stitch on the back knitwise, just to kind of attach it, if you like. That's the tail we need to weave in. Okay, so I'm going to go to, so I'm going to go through both of these 2 stitches on the bottom needle, 2 of those, because I have too many stitches on that needle. I'm going to go through those knitwise, take them off, go through the next stitch purlwise and leave it on. Then I'm going to go through the first stitch on the back needle purlwise and take it off, and the next stitch knitwise and leave it on. And then front needle knitwise, take it off, purlwise, leave it on. I know this is a purl stitch. I'm just going to graft it like it's a knit stitch because it's easier. Purlwise on the back, take it off, knitwise on the back and leave it on. That stitch is twisted, so I'm just going to untwist it. And then knitwise off, purlwise on, purlwise, purlwise off, knitwise on. And then the last 2 knitwise off, purlwise on. Oh, I've dropped the stitch on the back needle because I only have 1 stitch there now. Have I? Okay, I don't know what happened to the other stitch on the back needle. Not that one. Knitwise on, purlwise off. Take it off. Okay, let's see how that's worked out. I don't know if that's worked. Like I said, I have no idea whether this is actually going to work or not. If it doesn't work, it may not become a tutorial. Okay, it has worked. It's connected them. It doesn't look that nice. It doesn't look the same as the others. But let's take all the ends through to the wrong side and then have a look at it and see if it's something I can live with. I may be able to work out a way of doing this so it looks the same as the others and you can't tell that I've made a mistake, but it is tricky. And I don't want to make this mistake worse because of where the location is. Once I'm wearing it, not very many people are going to notice. So I would rather fudge it and be able to wear it than have it perfect and risk ruining it properly. So I'm going to take this thread through to the back as well. Okay, there we go. So this is the repeat next to it. This is the repeat below it. That's the repeat, rest of that repeat. That's the repeat next to it. It definitely doesn't look as perfect as the repeats next to it, but I think when I'm wearing it and the location where it is, I think nobody's going to notice that unless they pick it up and they're looking like in detail like that, which, you know, if I'm wearing it to a workshop or something and I take it up, somebody might do it, but then I can always explain what happened. So now, so I think I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to go through to the wrong side. Now, my problem is these two really short ends, they need to be woven in so they don't come undone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them over here. So I'm going to put my needle through and then thread the yarn through like that, pull it through, and then I'm going to go up this row of knit stitches here, which is the purl stitch on the right side. I'm just going to take the needle through some of these stitches, thread the yarn through. If you have a very short end, this is the best way of weaving in the yarn. You put your needle through first and then you put the yarn through. I'm going to undo one of those so I can go back a few stitches just to secure it. It is good that this is not a particularly slippery yarn, so I don't think it'll come undone. If I wash it, it has to be hand washed. I'm not sure if I've ever washed this actually. I don't wash my hand knits a lot unless they get dirty. Because I think we tend to probably overwash things, especially delicate things like this. I prefer to wash them as little as I can get away with. I never wear this, like, well, I wear it next to my skin because I want it over short sleeve tops, but it would be touching my arms. It doesn't touch my underarm or other, you know, which is where it's likely to be a bit of smell, I guess. So it doesn't smell. There's no stains on it. I haven't spilled anything on it. So I don't think it needs to be washed that regularly. If that makes you think I'm disgusting, then so be it. Okay, so that end is secure. So now let's do this short end. I'm a bit worried there's a little bit of a big yarn over there, but I might use these ends to try and secure that. This is a shorter end. So I'm going to go in there, and in there. And pull it through. There we go. So I've still got a little bit. So I'm going to go up here. Up, up. 3 stitches there. Basically, I want to weave in as much of these short ends as I can. I don't want to trim them any shorter than they are. There we go. And then I'm going to go back down again on the other side of that knit stitch. That's still in camera, yes. Like that. There we go. Okay. Now I got these two ends to weave in. These are a lot longer. So let's do the longest one first because that's the easiest one to do. I'm a little bit concerned that this hole here, where is it? On this side, the yarn is a bit big. So I'm going to go across here. I've got to be a bit careful I don't end up with, oh, hang on, no, that doesn't look good. I want to try and just make the yarn a little bit smaller. It is common for yarn over one side of a purl stitch to end up slightly bigger than on the other side. That's quite normal. And I'm not that worried about that. I'm going to go into that stitch, then into that stitch, and then into that stitch there. I'm going kind of around the yarn over, if you like, just so I can make it like a little bit smaller and secure it up a bit. Then I'm going to go in here. I'm basically going to take it up to this knit column here. When you're weaving in your ends in a lace area, the main thing is to try and find a more solid area. So either an area where there are more purl stitches on the wrong side or a column of knit stitches. Depends on what fabric you're making, what stitches you have. Like this area here would be fine because there's more solid stitches there, but I'm going to go up here because that's perfect. So I'm going to go in, I'm going every other row from the same side. I'm going like that. So as you can see, because I have a longer end, I'm going a bit further just to make it a bit more secure, like that. And then I'm going to come back down on the other side of that stitch. Why can I not catch that stitch? There we go. There we go. Did I have scissors here? No, I did not. There are my scissors. Snip that one off. I never snip the yarn flush with the fabric, leave a little bit of an end. If it works its way through to the right side, you can always just snip it later or push it back onto the wrong side again. Like if these ends work their way through to the right side, I can just trim them or push them through to the wrong side again. The same thing with this one. Okay, so this is where I did the fix. I don't want to make that area too bulky. Oh, I have a pulsed knit stitch here. So that knit stitch really should have met up with that knit stitch, and it doesn't. Can you see that how here is a column? One, and here it kind of, there's a bit of a jog in it, if you like. I'm not bothered about that. I'm going to go up here, I think. Actually, I wonder whether I can connect that across and make it, I don't know whether that's going to look any better on the right side though. Let's have a look. Yeah, so this should have continued here, like a straight line, but I'm not too bothered about that. So this is also, you know, what can you live with in terms of repairs? Some people would be horrified at this repair and be like, no, I can't live with that. I can see that there's a mistake and I can't live with it. Okay, that's fine. That's your choice. We're all different. We all have different personalities. I would rather fix it like this and live with that than not fix it. So that's where I made mistakes. So you can still see that there's a problem there compared to here. Perfect, not perfect. But I think when I'm wearing it, if I just lay it on top of the other fabric, where is it? There. So this is, so it's the left back. So it's quite close to the side of the fabric and it's quite low down. So that's where it is. But it took me a while to spot it. So I think when I'm wearing that's not going to be a problem. If it was like center front on my chest or something like that, I would be a little bit more worried about it. But because of where it is, I'm not worried about that. And I don't think that's going to be that visible. I think I can wear this quite happily and nobody will notice. And if they do notice, I can just explain what happened. But obviously you have to go with your personality. If you are very much a perfectionist and like things to look perfect, you may not be able to live with this. That's fine. There may have been a way I could fix it better than this, but I also want this to be wearable and not look like I botched it. And I'm not necessarily striving for perfection. So I'm happy with this. You do what you want to do. If you can't live with this, then that's fine. Maybe you can give it to another knitter who wears the same size as you, who can live with it, or you have to try and make a bigger fix. But I decided to make the minimum fix possible because I'm worried if I undo it more, I will end up with a bigger mess and then I'll struggle to fix it. So let me know what you would do. Would you be happy with this kind of fix, or would you think, no, it's not perfect, I can't wear it? I'm not judging you if that's how you feel. Well, maybe I am kind of judging you, but no, I'm not really. I'm just joking. I'm not really judging you, but I do think that I meet a lot of knitters in my workshops who are very much perfectionists, and if they make a mistake and they can't fix it so it looks perfect, then they can't wear it. Got to remember the hand knitted or hand crocheted, handmade things are handmade. They are not made by machines. They are handmade. They're not made by machines or by people in a professional setting. I'm not going to a shop and buying this. If I was buying this in a shop, I would not be happy with that. I would want it to be perfect. But because I've worn this, I've stored it not in a very sensible way, so it's got caught on something and it's broken. My fault. I would still like to wear it. And for that tiny problem to throw away the whole sweater, which is not worn out, I'd rather just fix it and wear it. So let me know what you would do. Can you live with this or not? Tell me in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.